Well, YouTube, welcome back. It's been over a year since I last posted. What's happened in that time is I've put my plans together here with Horsepower Research in McKinney, and we have put together one hell of an engine for the Cobra. So we're going to go inside and say hi to those guys and take a look at it and see if we can get this bad boy loaded up, get it home, get it paid for.
It's done. It's done. It's done. It's going home. Oh, we got one more headache back there, and that's a Viper, and it's like this close to being gone.
Yeah, so I was on the valve covers, right? I've got those in. So would I still need to put a baffle in it though? And if so, you have to spot weld that and get the whole thing re-chromed?
No, you should be able to drill it.
No, if you just drill it, but if you need a baffle underneath the
Some of
other
those,
ones,
like the push-in deals, some of them have a baffle in them. Some of the ones that I showed you that had like the chrome dome holes on the bottom side, they're baffled in
it's just assumed it's just got all that mesh or whatever up inside the.
So then you just probably tape the hell out of that thing, center punch it, drill your hole, put your rubber grommet, stick your
Yeah, because I've got a good set of step drills. I think it'll go up that far and then get me a fairly clean. I don't know. I don't have anything else to put that big a hole. It's not. I mean,
the hole saul's gonna shoot.
Yeah. The step drill I think is the way to go.
First one?
Yeah, special coffee here. Really old coffee.
Oh, I thought you had special coffee like a little extra.
I wish, yeah, we need that.
Huh? Okay.
It's got, you don't know if you saw the pictures earlier, but there's a Dash 12 breather back here.
Right, yeah, you sent me the picture of just that.
So
right?
you can run just like that race car has with the catch can.
Well, that's what I'm kind of, and when they do that, right, so you've got two vents, and you run that with a catch can. Do you run a vacuum source in that catch can to try to make sure the airflow is one direction? You get less, like, tendon to leak out of these guys?
When you have the can's vented atmosphere anyway. It's over.
Just plain vented, okay.
Yeah. So in this case, you're trying to not have any crankcase pressure.
Right.
Now you could, if you've got room up front, you can run a vacuum pump to it.
Makes it even better.
Yeah, and run the vacuum pump to the catch can and try to pull a crankcase vacuum on it. It'd help the rings seal better. It would.
Well, and two, you'd then be drawn in from your two vents, right, at that point, right?
No, you'd actually seal those off.
Oh, you wouldn't have, you have just, so you put
If
caps,
you've got a
you
big
put
enough
caps on those.
I thought if you have a big enough vacuum pump, you wouldn't have anything on it at all. It'd just be straight sucking out of this guy.
But that's a bit overkill for it. I don't know that it's, if I just have basically
I don't think you're
passive
gonna need
vacuum
it.
with those two, and
Yeah. I said you're just basically not wanting to crank.
at that point with the catch can though, what's causing it to want to draw?
My worry is if it's because it's such a big engine, it's gonna make crankcase pressure no matter what you do. It has to be
Just
there.
because big pistons, a lot of surface area to hold.
And it's gonna make some power and it's gonna push past the rings a little bit. I mean, it's always gonna have some pressure. So you don't want any pressure. If you have pressure,
Well,
it's gonna start
spooching
leaking
out all over the place.
Yeah, it's gonna start leaking. So on a wet sump motor, your whole thing is just having zero pressure. So if you had one push-in breather over here, if that ain't enough to vent all of that stuff out, that's why I put this guy back here.
Okay.
If you put one here and one here, and that's still not enough, then still put one here just to vent it out.
Well, I'll do that, and it's not enough. Then maybe I do look at trying to run some sort of vacuum or something else on it.
I don't think you should have to worry about any of that kind of stuff. But you saw my notes about sealing the valve covers.
I did not.
Okay, so
Okay.
because this is two-piece and the valve cover goes across this rail,
Yeah.
you may want to take. I think you already trimmed these, right?
I trimmed them, but yeah, I put a dab of
This RTB.
Yeah, just-
And I went and got some nice big fat Climatic gaskets, and so I'm trying to not cheat because this apparently is a thing with them to want to drool a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, just about any older valve cover design.
Well,
they
and
always just want to.
and these are stamped, so they're not going to be perfect.
Not really glass enough.
So I don't know if you'd almost want to put studs in these, and then just RTB the gasket down to this, and then put the valve cover on.
I hadn't bought bolts or studs yet, so I'm still kind of if I'm going to put the the T handles on there, or what I want to.
So your whole kit, I don't know if you need them or not, but you've got there's the other weird bolts I had to buy for the intake. So you've got your coil bracket, exhaust header bolts.
That's what, 5 or 1, 2, 5 or
Motor mounts, alternator bracket, water pump. It's a valve cover scan.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So you've got a whole,
Bunch of ARP bolts.
yeah. That's your spare parts.
And I've got the water pump actually still backward. I ordered that back when I said something to you like in May, and to the point where they said, hey, if you don't call us, we're going to cancel this because I see how long it's been. I called them like, no, we're going to get on this. Just, COVID, blah, blah, blah. It's back. I'm leaving on order. I'm not in a big rush, but damn, it's been 3.5 months.
Yeah.
But,
Full put the distributor in, you're about 20 degrees
Yeah.
initial timing
okay.
or so. I think the little hold down guys is about finger tight, so we might still, he can still move a little bit. But it's about there. Then you'll just have to adjust it. I just wasn't sure how the computer's going to control this as far as advance, retard, and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's research still needs to be done.
So that's roughly where it is.
So as of right now, you're at 20 degrees, and this one right above the wires coming out is number 1.
Okay.
It goes that way.
Okay.
It's in Sharpie, but you can't see it very well on the black plastic.
Yeah, that's.
I'm not sure what to tell you to start with on a spark plug. Might have to do a little bit of research on that.
Okay. Yeah, and you told me before, but how on break-in? How long are we on break-in before you want to go ahead and swap that out? Just go by hours, by miles, or does it even matter?
Fire it up and see where it is. Let it warm up and see how your pressure and stuff is. Like I said, you may end up wanting to drop it down to like a 530 or something. Just see how the thing goes. Or you may want thicker once it's actually running. Not sure, but fire it up and get it running, and then you can honestly run break-in for probably 500 miles if you wanted to.
Okay.
But once it is fired, running, start getting it tuned and start getting it loaded. Don't just let it sit in the garage and idle for 5 hours.
You gotta get it very.
Yeah, get some load on it so the reins will seat. Get it on dyno. You could dyno it and then drive the car back to the house, and then after that, change it, run whatever you want to after that.
So, is there anybody who around has a chassis done?
Oh, there's tons of chassis dynos. I just don't know who's going to be able to tune it.
Depends on the advice that you go with also.
Yeah, as a Phytech.
Phytech?
Yeah, because they're the only ones that had anything in the horsepower range that wasn't just either 1200 or 600.
Right.
There's nothing in between. They had a nice 850, I think, and so.
Yeah. And it's still a single piece unit. Just,
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just the direct bolt-on 8 injectors.
Yeah, because I've looked into that too. I mean, I haven't seen the bolt-on ones that go above 600 horsepower. Usually you have to machine the manifold and install an actual fuel rail.
Yep. Yep. They. Well, I guess there's provisions for that if we got there, right?
Yep.
Check your throttle body. This should accept everything, but check it. Make sure all the blades open. That doesn't hang up on it.
Yeah. I'll, now that I have this and I can measure it out, I'll just look at the specs on that thing because it's again direct bolt-on replacement. It's the alleged thing, but we'll see how in real life that goes. Man, finally happened.
And we even beat the car. I didn't
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's all. I've been giving him lots of leeway with the COVIDs and all, but we may next week or so be calling just to check in and see how we're doing. Because
You're doing stripes and everything, right?
yeah, they're gonna it's gonna have the it's a blue, exactly which we haven't quite settled on yet, with basically cream stripes from front to back.
I wasn't sure if you were doing that deep impact blue or not.
That the Ford Deep Impact is the current front runner. Yeah, so it's not a factory thing. They only had the metallic back then, right? But I'm building this my car. I don't have to match it.
Well, if you want to see one, I can drive mine up here. So
I think I'd seen it up here before. Had I? I know. I mean, that was on. There was because there's Deep Impact and there's Kona. I think were the two.
Kona was later.
Right, and
Kona's almost like a violent car.
right, and it seemed a little too much on that one. That it just looked a little too funky, tricked up, kind of. Right, this is a '60s car theoretically. All right, well. happy to have it home. And seriously, I'm gonna roll it in the house and put it in my office. I'll have to send you a picture.
Really.
Otherwise, it's out in the garage by itself getting all dusty. And it's,
No, no,
and
you
it's too
can't.
hot outside. You gotta keep it in there in AC.
I don't think there's anything else.
I mean, we'll end up putting this on the YouTube. The channel on there is, I hadn't had anything since I finished the rear end. So it's been 14 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, since I finished the rear end. Any specific challenges being just worth talking about going through? I mean, I know it's been a long road.
I think the biggest challenge was getting the rocker arms and the intake manifold on. That was
Yeah.
probably the hardest thing because everybody had their own opinion on how to
As far as the
oil it.
oilings, yeah.
Yeah, whether or not to roll through the push rods or roll through the rocker arms. So, it does have block offs in the block. Everything is still there. It would function
Right.
if you ever wanted to run it through the rocker arms. And these rocker arms will accept all that.
Yeah, you would
But-
have to pull the heads to do it.
And
Pull
I
the
think-
heads, take them out, probably replace them with a restrictor.
Yeah, I think most of the people said they use like a Holly 60 fuel jet in the
Oh,
block.
for
It's same
his restrictor?
as a restrictor going up to feed the rockers. Now,
Wow.
Brett made a nice rocker. I mean, it's all self-oiling. It oils through the push rod and it pressurizes through here, oils the trunnion, and then goes and sprays right out on the rocker tip. So it's pretty.
Yeah, well, you
cool.
showed me that one you had out with the channels through it. But yeah,
If you're bored and you actually want to see all this stuff, it does make a mess because there's no valve cover to catch it. But just mark your distributor, pull it straight out, take a 1/4-inch drive socket, straight down into the oil pump drive
Right.
shaft, and just turn it counterclockwise, and you can see oil going.
Yeah.
just electric drill, just spin it.
Oh, you can do it with a speed range.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, and it's a lot of oil. It just,
Well, he told me the pressure on it. I'm like, all right, well, yeah, what does this? Well, I'm pumped to, like I said, to get it in the car. This is all making it way more real. I mean, building the rear end, I made it real, but now we're that far in the
Yeah.
past. Now here's the next step.
Yeah. That's, I think, based off all the other pictures, I think your turkey pan and all that stuff, I think will still fit under this thing you're going to do.
Well, if it doesn't, I'm not super worried. I mean, because it do that and end up with just a little small air filter on there anyway if it doesn't fit. But the only thing is, this is a little higher probably than the stock, and the turkey pan will fit between this and the hood. And I just have to see once I get the car.
And this is, well, they said the Edelbrock one fits, and the Edelbrock's 3/4 of an inch taller than this.
if they're measuring the same thing.
If they're measuring the same thing, which should be carb pad height, it should be the same thing. 'Cause I think this is 6 inches from base to,
So like from the China rail up, or
Yeah,
however they do that.
Something, yeah. Hopefully they used a standard like that.
and I don't know if your little FITech thing, we were thinking about this morning. There is no provisions in this intake manifold, I don't think, for
For a map
a
sensor.
map sensor. There's no place to grab that from.
Oh.
So I don't know.
Well, as far as I know, for that, again, it being a drop-in replacement, it should be all internalized.
Yeah, it should be. But you could make yourself a little funky deal off of this. And, well, that wouldn't be
No, that's
intake.
great.
That's not intake, that's crankcase.
Yeah,
I'd
no.
have to be tapping a port back here, hiding one back here somewhere.
And you could, yeah.
Well, you've got, space right, a couple,
Yeah, you would
couple
think,
of flat
you would
spots.
think they would. Well, I guess carburetors usually have their own right there, but like my intake manifold has a hole right
Like there's a
here.
vacuum source.
Yeah, it's a vacuum source for
That's big
brakes or
enough. You could
whatever.
pack that little burger full of towels and have,
Yeah, they got a rib right behind the center.
have something to do on the side. Have some
Come right up underneath.
Just put a spacer in and put
Yeah.
You could do that too, if you got room to do it.
I don't think I've got room. It's a little bitty car with a whole bunch of motor, man.
It's a motor with 4 wheels.
Yeah, right now. See, it's got it on there. So you got to see me pick up the engine from the engine shop. I just went and looked through the video and realized I didn't have a whole lot of detail about anything on the engine. It was all still wrapped up in plastic. So I got it home in the back of the truck. I put it, got it hoist, pulled it out, rolled it across the front walkway, and yes, I now have it in my office at the house. You didn't miss a whole lot other than an old man sweating a bunch and running, so I spared you that. But we'll wrap up real quick here and just show a couple of neat points on the motor, and then kind of just what progress we'll be seeing on here next. All right, so there she is. Yes, rolled it here into my office, put the valve covers on. I got those in recently. There's a little bit of a challenge with those. So you'll notice they are not vented in any way. We do have a port that the that Horsepower Research put in, and I'll be able to use it for an oil catch can. So I will have a spot I can vent the crankcase, so that's not the problem. The problem is, where's the oil go in, right? So I don't have anywhere to fill right now. There's a combination on the originals. This trick flow head does not have any provisions for oil or oiling. Some of the originals would have a oil fill right here. This obviously does not. I guess alternatively, we had these riser tubes that come up in the back that would also be ported into the valley. I thought it looked like crap. So what we're going to have to do is these nice, pretty, shiny valve covers. I think you may have heard Anthony at the shop say, tape the hell out of it, drill into it, and put one of the rubber plug grommet style filler caps in. But that's the valve covers. So we also have these nice trick flow heads. If you look close, you can see some of the nice porting work in there, which is pretty awesome. The heads are very happy with. We also, and it's easier to see on the other side, nice Canton oil pan, 8-quart, I believe. It has the trap doors in it, so if any sort of road racing or anything exciting happens, I will not be starving for oil, which will be great. It has some of the original casting numbers on it. I don't know if I've mentioned, but so this is from a company called Bear Blocks, and they build the reproduction FE 427 side oiler blocks. That's what this is. So I'm not taking a real core away from someone out trying to do a numbers matching restoration. This is a all original, brand new block. So also the casting and everything was great. They just had to hone the block. That's about all they did. You can see it has screw-in freeze plugs, cross-bolted mains. We also have on here, the only place I could find a timing cover was Carroll Shelby. Everything else was just new old stock or beat up. Not super pumped about that on there, but you got to remember, water pump's going to come down over the front of all of this. You really won't even see that. And there'll be a big reservoir that'll actually come up off the filler neck up here, so you almost can't see that part of the engine. And we have a nice SFI rated ATI super dampener. So yes, when I'm making my sub 10 second or 10 minute passes, 10 second passes, I'll have ATI, but that's never going to happen. So that's just a brief summary what you can expect to see coming up next. The water pump will be here, I think, tomorrow. We'll test fit that on there. The throttle body will be coming before too terribly long. And a little bit of interesting, exciting news for me is I talked with ERA this week, yesterday, and they are starting this week on the chassis. So that's exciting stuff. Hope to have more content for you guys coming up and not take a 9 or 10 month gap. Things will start moving pretty quickly, and I hope I can provide some content on it. Thanks for watching.